Good morning, the analyst here. And in our previous video, we have talked about energy. We have defined energy, and we have given the forms of energy. We started talking about the forms of energy that can be manifested in us human beings. We talked about energy being a quantitative property that can either be transmitted to or transmitted from a body, meaning that you can be next to someone and their energy is transmitted to you. It's actually a fact. You can be next to someone and your energy is transmitted to them. And that's why when you enter a room where people are depressed, you become depressed because there is a certain form of energy that has been transmitted to you that is causing you to be depressed. And that's why if you enter a room and you're excited, someone can become excited. Why? Because you transmit to them an energy that is influencing them to be excited and positive. So we have already established the fact that energy can be transmitted or it can be received. And so we went forth to talk about the forms of energy. The forms of energy. And we started by talking about the first form, which is words. Your energy manifests through your words. Your energy manifests through your thoughts. Your energy manifests through action. Actually, I would want to implore you to understand something. That energy transmits itself through your senses. Through your senses. And I want to talk about another form of energy, and that is hearing. We talked about words, the words that you speak. We talked about the thoughts. We talked about your actions. But hearing, how you hear is very, very important. How you hear something is very, very important. And it's not just an issue of taking hearing for granted, because hearing is actually a form of energy. Why? Because in a sense, it has the aspect of words, but hearing itself is not a passive process. It's an active process that involves an execution of energy. And it's very important to be purposeful on what you're hearing. Why? Because whether you want it or not, we are the result of things we have had ever since we were young. Some of us have heard that the sweetest food is meat, and we love meat. Some of us have heard that grasshopper in South Africa, I'm told they don't eat grasshoppers. While here in Uganda, it's a very important delicacy. Why? We have had it, we have tested it. And that's why I want you to know that your ears have a certain taste. They have a certain taste. And it's one of the things you have to plan for. You have to plan that I'm going to hear something and I'm not going to hear something. You have to clog out something that you are not going to hear, and you have to permit something that you're going to hear. And you have to do this process purposefully. Why? Because hearing influences the way you believe something. The great book says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. It's a fact that your beliefs come by hearing. Your forms are shaped by hearing. What you hear about women will influence your belief about women. What you hear about business will influence your beliefs about business. What you hear about certain foods will influence your beliefs about certain foods. And so that is an energy where you have to plan that I'm going to hear well and I'm not going to hear this. Not everything that is making noise is supposed to come to your ears. Not everything that is making loud is supposed to come to your ears. Things are supposed to be selected. You as an individual are supposed to select. You're supposed to be purposeful in that selection. And so the hearing is very, very important. And so we go to another form of energy. The other form of energy that kind of tends to manifest in us, I told you that energy is emitted through your senses, is the energy of sight. You need to be careful what you're seeing. What you're seeing has a great impact on how you move in your life. What you're seeing has something that can purpose in your life. It's energy emitted. You see wrong, it produces the negative energy. You see right, it produces the rightful energy. And so that's why you have to purpose that I am going to stand right on what I am seeing. That I'm going to purpose on what I am seeing. I want to demonstrate this form of transmission of energy. There was a scientist, there was not a scientist, but there was a gentleman one time who passed on. And so there was this guy in the ward who had, the guy who passed on had been murdered. But then there was someone who was in the ward who had a critical heart condition. And so the heart was removed from this guy who had been murdered and put in this guy who had been put and who had been, who needed the heart condition, who needed the heart, I mean. So what happened is, later this guy starts using someone else's heart, but he began to see the person who actually murdered the other person. He began to see visions. I mean, not eyes have been given to him, but he began to see, it's actually a clear documented story. He began to see the criminal. And they based on that to actually catch the criminal. It was established that the guy had been murdered by this very, very person. Do you know that your cells in the body have eyes? There's something called cell memory. Every aspect of your cells has eyes. And you have to be careful what you see because it impacts what your cells are able to memorize and to do. And so it's a form of energy. You have to plan. You have to plan that I'm going to see this, that I'm not going to see this, that I'm going to invest in this, I'm not going to invest in this. You have to plan how you see. You know, your imagination has eyes. You have to purposefully plan what to see. And I want you to realize that it is by purpose. It's by purpose. And so those are the forms of energy that I've tried to bring forth to you. And I want you to realize that every single day of our lives, they impact us whether we want it or not. Like this video and share it and let it bless and touch someone else. The analyst here, thank you.